Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The Horizon. And before we even go further in the show tonight, I would like to say a big thank you to all of you for continuously supporting this platform and continuously supporting this show. Tonight on The Horizon, we have for you, of course, our panelists, but we also have a special guest with us tonight, and that is the People Liberation Party former international vice chairman and his surprise endorsement to ANC Alexander Cummings. So he will be joining us tonight to talk about that. And at this point, I'd like to welcome back our panelists to episode 10 of The Horizon. Mr. John Winkin, we are Lord J. Choppy Charlie, and the Lord Mayor of Benitoe, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Welcome back to another episode of The Horizon. Let's begin with you, Mr. John Winkin. We are.
Well, it's a great opportunity being with you guys for, let's say, episode 10 now. So great minds, Choppy Charlie, the Lord Mayor, and the great moderator that everybody talks about. So I've looked forward.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but what's your favorite episode so far? 10 episodes.
Well, I think the one we talk about the policies for our like when he talks about coming when I talk about Gonglo. And many people also give me feedback about that. We talk about a lot of stuff. So I think we had time going into details, and we were really pushed to clarify certain things that weren't clear. So that was very great.
Thank you very much. So let's move on to you, Bloody Choppy Charlie. Welcome back to another episode, and tell us your favorite episode.
Well, again, thanks to everybody, and welcome to the fellows. I think the beginning was good. I just want to go back to the very beginning. I think it's the first one, so I think it was good. It was a step.
Thank you, Bloody and Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Welcome back to another episode. You can also tell us your favorite.
Thank you, Derek. It's always a pleasure to be on the Hot Zone. And the reason why Bloody said the episode 1, if I was him, I could have chosen that as well, because that was one of his best performances. He was sharp. And he had a little handle to say public intellectual debater or whatever. I don't know why he took the handle off. But yeah, it's always a pleasure. I think the best episode so far, for me, will have to be the interview of the lawmaker. He was a little combative, and he embellishes, and I just thought it was funny, but it was one of the best. And you are at your best too, Derek, as usual. So I really enjoyed that.
Oh, thank you. And
yeah.
And for my contribution to that, I think we have taken a step further from like every episode we do, we always make the next one better than the last.
Absolutely.
But my favorite moment on this show, I would say, I don't remember the episode, but it was when I think Blood J. Choppy Charlie put Mr. Ja Winkin we are on the horizon about Taiwan Gonglo. Where yeah, you remember when he talked, Taiwan Gonglo had absolutely nothing on him, and Blood actually asked him a question that he really couldn't answer, but that was yeah, but
that's the right word for it.
Right, it's been such an interesting time being on this panel with you guys. And I look forward to a lot of more engaged conversation, more interesting conversation as well. And of course, those of you that watch us, wherever you're watching us from, we appreciate the support, and we ask that you continue to do so. And you can count on us. We will continue to bring you this information in the best possible ways. But for episode 10 tonight, we have a special guest, PLP from PLP. He will be here talking about his endorsement to Alex Cummings, and he will also join the panel to talk about what we have scheduled for the night. And also for our discussion tonight, our lightning round, as you know it, we will focus on ANC and Alexander Cummings chances for 2023, and we'll also talk about the ANC global events. We'll briefly talk about that. So we look forward to our lightning round. And the news briefing, we added this segment before the lightning round. So before we get into the lightning round tonight, we'd like to do a news briefing. We have our correspondent in Liberia who has been doing an excellent job sending a briefing from Liberia. So I will get right into that. Today, the Senator Senator Yombly Kanga Lawrence, faction of the opposition Liberty Party, on Friday expected to hold a mass gathering on the premises of the National Elections Commission. The opposition party is split into two factions: the Kangas Lawrence faction and the Lawrence and the Musa Belete factions. The latter has accused the NEC leadership of interference in the one intra-party conflict from the premises. They will tour all diplomatic missions in Monrovia to present a opposition statement. And in other news, Black Wednesday declared in Ganta, Nema County. Citizens from all parts of Nema County, all wearing blacks, have today converged on Ganta to press forward their call asking President Weah to dismiss the county superintendent for alleged corruption. In fact, there are fears that if not carefully managed, may turn violent due to the massiveness of the crowd. And lastly, George Calando Jr. has got on the run. He reportedly shot a man identified as Mohammed Kamara this morning. The victim is currently at the JFK hospital, and there's no further details on this story except for unconfirmed report that it is the victim. The victim is the one that washes Calando's Jr.'s car. So before we get into our
moderator, sorry for the is just the Calando, his son, the one that owns the businesses? Is it his son or the man himself?
The son.
It is the son.
Okay, got you.
Yes. Yeah. So thanks to our correspondent David N. Tagwet. He's been doing an excellent job. So we'll keep you this information as it comes to our desk. And moving on to our lightning round. Before I say that, on Front Page Africa reported an interview from opposition leader Jose Yiman Bouaka, one of the opposition leaders, I should say, Jose Yiman Bouaka, saying that I will be the next president of Liberia. And that's the story Front Page Africa carried. And to get into our lightning round, standard bearer of this collaborating political parties, Alex Cummings, let me get this story right, speaks on the diaspora role in Liberia politics, stating that Liberian diaspora has the requisite skills, talents, and resources needed to create a strong private sector. How well do you agree or disagree with Mr. Cummings? Let's get our lightning round started. ANC had their global convention in Maryland over the last weekend. So let's talk about Cummings' chances of winning the elections come 2023. I would like to begin this with you, of course, the Lord Mayor of Benitoe. Talk to us about the convention and then Cummings' chances of winning the elections in Liberia.
Thank you, Derek. If it's okay, I can deflect that to one of my panelists since and I have a bias here. Maybe I can build up on the opposition if that's okay with you.
Yes, I would take that. Mr. Jawinkin, Mr. Cummings' chance. First of all, talk to us, if you would, about ANC Convention that was held in Maryland over the weekend, and Cummings' chances of becoming the next president of Liberia, taking into consideration 7% from last elections.
Well, even though I'm not supporting Mr. Cummings, but for Liberia, as I say always, when Weah was elected, they never knew what he could do. But he has been in power now for about 5 years. The Liberian people have seen that he is not really capable to run the country effectively. Everything that he promised is the opposite for the Liberian people. For Cummings, I do not know him too well, even though I have read and I listen to people talk about him. But in order for anybody to win President Weah, it requires that particular person hitting all the 134 administrative districts in Liberia, not only the 73 electoral districts. Because those who always vote, they used to one system. The going election, a little over 1 million people voted. We are about 5 million people. What happened to the rest of the 4 million? So in order to beat President Weah, you need to register almost more than 2 million people to beat him. Is Cummings capable of doing that? If he does, then he stands his chance of beating Weah.
Before you close though, what do you think? What are your chances? Just give me a number out of your head.
Well, I don't want
Your
to give
chances,
okay,
if you would, if it's just this is all hypothetical. If you would,
okay, yes. To bid where you need to make more people who never participate in election to vote in the next election. So the bid where you need to really, as I said, you need to hit all the 134 administrative districts, not only the 73 electoral districts in Liberia. Liberia has about 5 million people. The going election were about a million people voted. What happened to the 4 million people of Liberia? Why they didn't vote? And how can we make them to vote? Is the strategy to be President Weah.
thank you very much, Mr. John Winkin. We are Bobby Mitchell Crawford.
Thank you. I guess Blodgett is afraid to answer the question.
There you go.
Mr. Cummings will be the first to tell you that nothing in Liberia, nothing in life comes easy, right? So, and it's predicated upon that the ANC, or the collaborating political party, has engaged in a workable plan of action to see how best they can win the 2023 elections. And one of the ways to do that is the infusion of cash. So the ANC Global was conceived, as tend to be corrected, some 2 or 3 years ago. It was an attempt to bring all of the different splinter groups that were scattered across the United States that were supportive of Mr. Cummings' candidacy, like the Friends of Cummings, ANC Minnesota, of which I was a founding member, and all these different ANC groups are across the diaspora. So ANC came together as ANC Global. So now we have ANC Global in Europe. We have ANC Global. ANC Global is just everywhere. So it's about all of the different ANC branches that came on one umbrella. So they have this convention. I don't want to say annually because just this year alone, they have had 2 already. One was in Florida and the other one was in Maryland. So it's just an attempt to raise money for the organization. They call it a convention, but it's not like a typical convention where people go and elect party leaders and engage in platform discussion. So basically, it's to raise money because election is expensive, especially in Liberia. We know that the George Weah government is going to enter the coffer. So that's what it is. And at this going convention, like in all the other rest of the convention they have had, it was a success. And for the very first time, they were able to review the new website. It's easy, it's user-friendly. It's just one click, you're able to donate. It tells you everything you need to know about Mr. Alexander Cummings and his work.
Can you announce that website to our audience?
It's www.alexanderbenedictcummings.com.
www.alexanderbenedictcummings.com.
Oh, Alexander B. Cummings.
Alexander B. Cummings.
Yeah, .com.
All right, go ahead.
That's the CCP website. Yeah. Like I said, there are over 2.5 million eligible voters in the Republic of Liberia, and the ANC is one of the few political parties that has offices in all of the different subdivisions. And Mr. Cummings will tell you, you know what, we're not going to compete everywhere. Liberia election system is not like the electoral college we have here. It's population-based, it's number-based. So if you take into account all of the county that has more people, Mosorado, then second would be Nima. You have Mangibi, Bon, and Grand Bassa. So we're going to be strategic in how we do that. And we already started the process, voter registration. Mr. Cummings is working with governmental partners and our international donor to see that the introduction of the biometric system is a realization in the election process. So he's here in Washington. He's lobbying for that because we know if a biometric system introduced a limit fraud, and it will give him a better chance, not just him alone, but just level the playing field. So that alone gave us hope that at least the election will be free and fair. And I can guarantee you, if the election is free and fair, the ANC going to, you always talk about it, 7%, I think we're going to fare better. But I know our chances, sorry, go ahead.
So are you saying, I will come to you, are you saying that the 7% wasn't altogether fair, the 7% you guys got from the last election?
Mm-hmm.
Because they never had a biometric system in place. Are you saying?
Oh no, I'm not suggesting that. It was just a joke. It was just a joke at you.
Okay, I just want to clarify that.
Because for somebody that came in less than 8 months before the election time, that were referred to as a Mr. Nobody, and he came in, I think 4th or 5th. Mm-hmm. And one thing people have to realize is that politics is not static. You know, it changes. People needs and aspiration changes. The same thing with the political variables on the ground. I say that all the time. And ever since, when you remember, Cummings was the only candidate when he lost the election. He won a county tour to tell the people thank you. He spent his own money to go tell the people thank you. And ever since then, he been engaged with the Liberian people. You know, he been doing good by them. And not only that, he's the only candidate that has a full staff, a chief of staff, a campaign manager, and all those different things that needs to run a campaign. He has it in place. So if you take all of them into account, and the fact that he's an excellent campaigner, you know, and the people believe in his vision and his dream, and it's manifested through these different contributions that we realized at the ANC Global Convention, one can't help but wonder that we have a fair shot. You know, I don't want to sound braggadocious that, oh, the presidency is ours. Nothing is handed to all on a silver platter.
What are your chances? And
our chances is just as good as any other candidate in the race, but 100%.
If you were to put numbers to it,
I would say about 100%.
Let me complete the question.
Yeah.
If you were to put numbers to it, which you've already answered, and how do you associate yourself with some that argue that Cummings got strength in the diaspora, but he really doesn't connect to the people, to the voters population in Liberia? How do you address
empirical evidence? There's no empirical evidence to suggest that. And I'll give you an example. It was only during Cummings' chairmanship as CCP chairman that the CCP at that time enjoyed one of our best moments. We saw the election of Darius Dillon. We saw the election of scores of senators. So that has proven that indeed he can deliver. You see, ANC, just the party that is less than 5 years old, whether her lawmakers are not performing in the national legislature is another thing. But in a relatively short period of time, we have senators and representatives. So that speaks volume. You see, so the whole thing about Mr. Cummings now connecting, these are things that some of the political, I don't want to say enemy will use as a wedge issue to not for a candidacy to appeal appealing to the Liberian people. And we don't want to waste our time justifying that Mr. Cummings is likable, because he has proven that. Whenever he goes out to campaign, people come up in their drove to meet him. He's a good listener. He listens to the needs of the Liberian people, and he's the right man to change their stories.
Thank you, Bobby Michelle Crawford. Let's go to you, Mr. John Winkin. You have your hands up.
Well, yes, I think one of the problems coming with Faith is that the people he named as part of the campaign team, people like Louis Brown, Daniel Chia, and the old folks that are part of the problem in Liberia, including one guy that always supporting in the Facebook, who really detest that particular team. So I don't know, like, what is even to tell the Liberian people if he talks about change?
I'm sorry. What do you mean they are part of the problems in Liberia with Cummings list?
Okay, they are part of it. Like Louis Brown, Daniel Chia, Marketers, they have been in government for a long time. And Louis Brown, I remember him very well. He and TF they were very friends when they were in Taylor government, and a lot of things happened. Daniel Chia, the same thing as a defense minister. All these people, if you talk about change, they feel the Liberian people. And you are a change agent, you are making it as part of the team. That is the question. That is the problem to me. That is the problem. That is the observation. Many people that support that coming, they are asking. Many people call me and talk about that. Not only me alone saying that, well, Cummings said he wants to bring change. How can he make these people who are part of the Liberian problem to bring about change? To bring about change in Liberia, you can't only use the people within. You need to go outside the box to see what people bring, and that's the observation about coming chances.
All right. Before I get to you, Blue J, Choppy Charlie. So you mentioned some names from Cummings list, and Louis Brown, Daniel Chia, and I ask you to clarify what you mean by they are part of the problem. And one of the things I heard you said was they served in Taylor's government for a very long time. Now, my question to you: Are you making this claim because they serve, or their direct contribution to the crisis in Liberia?
Yes, both. They weren't really like Louis Brown. I think he was senator. Like I remember it very well. Like he and TFACO, they were friends. There are a lot of things that people were expected from the Taylor regime change.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor was elected despite the war. They say you came on my father will vote for you, and he won. What did he do? The first problem on Taylor that really messed the whole country was in 1990, I think 1997, killing of Duki and his wife, going to Banga, all the kind of stuff that happened. And that brought problem in Liberia that resulted to all the other warring factions. They were afraid that people started going in the bush. So what I'm saying is that they weren't advising Taylor properly. They weren't doing certain things that the Liberian people elected them for. So to bring up all these people again to say they are your advisors when they disappointed Liberian people is the question.
Just to play the hypothetical here, what if they advised Taylor and Taylor didn't listen?
Well, if you advise Taylor, then you can speak out. Like for example, Gonglo left Sally government over disagreement, but none of them did that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jarwinkin. I will come back to you on that. That's a very interesting statement. Lord Chubby Charlie, tell us about Cummings' chances on winning the presidential election in Liberia next year. And also, if you can talk to us about the ANC Convention that was just held in Maryland over the weekend.
Well, thanks again for having me tonight. I did not truly follow the ANC Convention, but the news bubbling from that convention focused on Mr. Cummings trying to outdo President Weah in a Buka dance. Surprisingly, one would think that having condemned President Weah for dancing during the presidency, the ANC will be showcasing some of its solutions to Liberian governance question. But instead, we seen the ANC showcasing the dancing competition. It's good that Cummings is learning from Mr. Weah. That's very good. He's trying to be a good student in Liberian politics. But let's come to the other question about his chances in these elections. Everybody has a chance. If Cummings can improve his electioneering by 100%, that would be good. That is, he has 7%. Can he make 100% improvement? That's a very difficult question for anybody to achieve in these type of elections we have. So far, what we've seen, Cummings, after being on the political stage now for more than a decade, has been stuck. There is an inability to connect with ordinary people. Even in our Buka dance that Cummings was trying to practice at his own convention, you could see that he was very uncomfortable doing our Buka dance. So his flexibility, his charm as a politician, finesse, is all stuck. And if being on the political scene all these years, he's been able to connect, I don't know how he's going to do it. So that's a problem. He has a big challenge before him. And then also, just before I rest on this question, I just wanted to respond to some other things I've heard, which I think I should be clarified. Though I'm not a supporter here, Mr. Cummings, but when I hear the critique every time being lambasted against people who serve in the Taylor government or who serve long in government, I think the question is not how long you serve in government, but it should be how well you serve in government. Because to suggest that just because somebody served in government for a long time, that person has no contribution to the country, it borders on, I don't know how to describe it, but it seems not appropriate for any nation to behave in such a manner. Because when people serve well in a country, they should be honored for the service. They should be respected. They should be celebrated for the service. And then they should be able to pass that knowledge down to the next generation. So the question should not be how long somebody served in government, but how well that person served. And on his wellness question, this is where we even question the Vice President Joseph Boakai. After 40 years, he did not serve well. He has not produced. So those are the kind of questions we need to raise. And not just because somebody serving government have no place in society. And no nation will survive with those who have been in the engine of government and produce results. I just
thank you, Bloje. You raised a couple of points, some of which were directly addressed to Bobby Mitchell Crawford and Mr. Weah. But before I go to them, how well you mentioned how well one time in government should be measured by how well they served, not how long. How well has President Weah served the people, considering his time as senator and his time as president?
Well, I thought we were discussing about Mr. Cummings and his convention on the global ANC. But if we want to make comparison with President Weah, we cannot make it in a vacuum. Then we have to do what we call comparative analysis, comparing the past leaders. And when we do that, we see that President Weah performance is above those leaders who have served the country. And on that basis, when we even compare him now with Mr. Cummings, Mr. Cummings has not produced a vision. He has not contrast. He has not shown us a contrast how he's going to be better. He still might have some time, but we've not seen that. So Weah performance in government suggests a higher improvement in terms of revenue collections, which is a fact. Weah came to power when the very rice question we've been discussing was at a higher price. He stabilized the rice price, reduced that price, and it has been going on for some time despite hiccups, but it's still moving at that stabilized price. We've seen some other development across the country that have not happened for a long period of time. Roads, we see in most rural areas there have been some housing unit, hospitals. These are all government-funded projects. These are not sponsored by international organizations, and that's a distinction when we look at the past, where many of these programs were sponsored by international organizations. So on that line, we say Mr. Weah has performed very well.
Thank you. So just to put a number to it, since we're talking about comments, I just wanted you to do that a comparative analysis like you did. But since just put numbers to it, what are Cummings' chances if you were to put numbers to it?
I will put Cummings' chances at his own percentage behind the last elections. I will put him. He has 7%, and I will say his best chance is to double up that percent to 100%.
Thank you very much, Bloje, Choppy Charlie, and let's go to you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Bloje asserted that Cummings will find it a challenge to do 100% more than he did last elections, and he's saying Cummings can only do as good as 14% the next election. Respond to Bloje.
That's coming from a man who just lied. Cummings hasn't been on the political scene for 10 years. And that's the problem. They ask you to critique or give your own opinion about a good convention that was held in Maryland County that generated over $100,000. And you fixated on the Booga dance that was executed at a welcome party. Whenever that music plays, you can't help but to mimic what the dance says. That has nothing, it doesn't contribute to the vibrancy of our nation. To discuss petty things like that, trying to do competition on George Weah, that is just trivial, and I'm disappointed. Cummings having been on the political stage for 10 years, he entered a little over 5 years ago. I just wanted to correct that. To my brother John Winkins' point, I think it was Rumsford, the then defense minister under George Bush, when he said, you go to war with the army you have. You understand? And regarding the list you referenced, I'm not going to be an apologist for people that are on that list, because I have my own running with Louis Brown and some other unsavory characters on that list. I can give it to you. But they say politics makes strange bedfellows. And you're talking about winning election. Some of those people on that list, and I would give this to you, right? Those people on that list is not, Cummings alluded to that during the convention. It is not a guarantee that they're going to be given position. Their name as senators doesn't even mean nothing. And there will be additional people that will be announced on that list. Those are people that have gravitas in their respective communities, that have sway over their people, because election is about number. If you're trying to get somewhere, You gotta be in Kabul with certain people. They have Prince Johnson and supporting your candidacy of the CDC, George Bush and other people. I can count 7 universal war laws that are supporting CDC. You understand? So at this time, it's not. I'm not going to say take for time, because if you present yourself as a candidate of change, you should be able to contrast yourself. I give that to you. But how can you contrast yourself when you fought a 14 plus year civil war, and a vast majority of the major political players, even Sima, the one that I would say participated similarly, if even that's a word to use, are politically tinted, but the same people that have sway over their people. How will you go from point A to point B without engaging those people? It's only politically expedient that you do that. And that's exactly what coming there. It's not a guarantee of position. You understand? You cannot ostracize the vast majority of the people and then you say you want to win election. So I just wanted to rectify that. And I'll
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll reiterate this. All the pontificating we do on Facebook, the actual work is in Liberia. As we speak right now, Cummings is engaged in the institution of that we should have the biometric system, which most citizens are against. And before they do that, it was, I think, a year ago, he advocated for the cleaning of the voter roll. They haven't done that. How can you introduce a biometric system when you don't have a voter roll clean up? That's a recipe for cheating. So he's lobbying on behalf of all opposition that we have a fair election, not just talk on Facebook. And we're doing the work by registering more AN or CCP members. And we are the only political parties in all of the different subdivisions in Liberia. We have head offices. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to you, Mr. Jai Winkin. We are Blue J. Chubby Charlie made a statement, and Bobby Michelle also directed his statement to you. So you can respond to that.
So here is the point. The problem we have in Liberia is patronage system, where whoever in power controls most of the stuff. They do things for the people as though they are doing them a favor. There is no system to say like let's say like the National Housing and Saving Authority that used to be it. I see President Weir on that. I mean, doing all the construction all by himself without they are not bearing the name of the National Housing and Saving Authority like the way it used to be. So unless we change that patronage system that does not allow a president of the country to make decisions on everything, to do everything that he wants. So this is what that's why I talk about Cummings. Cummings, he should really clarify how you're going to bring about this. Is he going to end the patronage system of governance, where the president is the answer for everything in our country, where the senator becoming somebody senator building clinics? Where are the institutions? This is my question. This is my problem I have with Mr. Cummings having the same people as part of his campaign, because those are people that accepted that have indoctrinated their Liberians, accepting that once you are in power, you can do anything. By the time we have become a city mayor somewhere, you begin to get scholarship to people. Where was that money? I begin to build houses. Where was that money? We need institutions so that anybody can apply when that person qualifies to get the benefit. That's what my criticism is about. I do not. Mr. Cummings is a nice man, but I need more clarity from him what he's going to do to bring about real institutional functioning, not the way they are functioning right now in our society.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jai Winkin.
Can I give a caveat to that? It's really not. It's just to keep the conversation flowing. If that's okay.
I'll give you 30 seconds. I really have to end this round, but
real quickly. Seconds. You said you really don't know what Mr. Cummings will be the first. Good governance is his hallmark. The CCP, then ANC, is really not a fan club, and everything that the ANC want to do regarding Liberia to move Liberia to to the next level is all in the ANC manifesto. It's expressed now in CCP.
Is he going to end the patronage system of government?
Thank you, guys. I have to draw the credit on the lightning round of the Hard Zone. And guys, if you're watching us, continue to follow the network on Facebook and YouTube. That is it for the lightning round on the Hard Zone. And of course, there's no gimmick, no fluff on the Hard Zone, just real talk. We will take a brief break, and when we come back, we will talk about the electronic voting and also the population census in Liberia. My name is Derek Yale, and this is the Hard Zone. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Hard Zone with Derek Yale on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. Before the break, we talk about Alex Cummings' chances of becoming the next president of Liberia, and at this point, we would like to move on to our scheduled topic, and that is the electronic voting in Liberia. So let me welcome back my panelists on the screen, and also let me welcome our special guest who's going to be joining us on the phone. Welcome to the Hard Zone.
Thank you.
So right now we'll talk about the electronic voting. It has been reported that Liberia Electoral Commission's LEC reselect ECAM biometric despite dismal performance on the media. So let's get into that conversation. The biometric or electronic voting. What does it mean for Liberia? And would there be voter education provided? Let me take this opportunity to go to the guest so he can introduce this topic for us.
It's okay. We can talk about the electronic voting and the biometrics. And now one thing that Liberians don't understand is there's two different things right there. The biometric, you can do biometric, and it doesn't necessarily have to be electronic voting, and you can do electronic voting without biometrics. So we're doing both. People think it's one thing, but it's two different things. And I hear people get excited that, once you do biometrics, there's no way to cheat. In fact, it's easier to cheat with electronic voting. People don't know that.
Electronic or biometrics or both?
Yeah, we talk about both. I mean, because we want to introduce both, right? Now with the biometrics, it's just information. That's all. That's what it is. Getting all the information in a system, in an electronic system that will make it very difficult for people to vote multiple times. Because in the 2017 elections, believe me, I saw young people with 3 full voting cards. I saw them. In fact, most of I run for office before in my district, District 10. I have supporters who are citizens. I saw most of my boys coming out of the CDC fence with multiple voting cards, and they say, "Papi, they give you all cards over there." So maybe the biometrics will help to alleviate that, But if you add in the electronic voting to it in Africa, in Liberia, that would be disastrous. Believe me. I would say we do the biometrics first, and still do the voting process manually the way it's been done, and then when we are ready, we can introduce electronic. But electronic voting, you can change the vote, you can change the results by just pushing a button.
Mr. Benitoe, thank you. You expressed your interest in giving your contribution to what we talk about in the likely round of the show. I'd like to give you the opportunity, since you are our special guest, if you would like to do that, or if you still like to do that. So you can give us your contribution on Cummings' chances for the next elections, and also talk about the ANC Convention that was held in Maryland.
All right. I just want to say, now pertaining to the ANC Convention in Maryland, I wasn't there. I'm in Liberia right now, so I won't be able to say much except what I've seen, from video and all of that. But from what I saw, I think it was a great success, and that's all I can say. But talking about the chances of Mr. Cummings, let me say this: Mr. Cummings has a great chance. Mr. Cummings, if you put him one-on-one with any other candidate in this race, he can beat them. I mean, Josh, we have forget it. I was listening earlier to some of your panelists, one of your panelists that talking about Josh. The Liberian people are fed up with Josh and his CDC. They're going to throw them out. The question is, who's going to replace them? That's the question. Josh is out. He will be a one-term president. Now let me say this: who's going to replace him? Among the rest of the opposition, there are two major contenders against Josh Weah. That's Ambassador Joseph Walker, the former Vice President, and Mr. Cummings. And you know what? From these two, the next question there will be between Walker and Cummings, who can really bring a drastic change, an immediate change to Liberia, and that would be Mr. Cummings. And let me tell you why I'm saying that. And that's why even a member of the PLP are chose to endorse Mr. Cummings and are going to campaign for him and sell him to the Liberian people. Because it's been 19 years since the war ended in Liberia, and we're still trying to find the path of recovery. We are not yet on the path of recovery. We are still looking for that path. Okay? And to find that path, we gotta remove all of the distraction, the blindness. And Joseph Walker and the Unity Party represent part of the blindness. Okay? You will need a president that has the energy. We need a hands-on president. Liberia is not a normal country right now. A country that the United States and other or normal nation anybody can have any woman rule them, but not a nation that is broken. Liberia is a broken nation. Liberia is not far from being a failed state. So you need somebody that is exuberant, who will be able to manage the affairs of the nation. You should know what happened at JFK and administer health. At the same time, knowing what happened with the educational system, what happened with food security, and what happened with you need that. You don't need someone who will be worried about their back pain, worried about all the different health issues, and it's depending on other people to run the nation and then bring report to them, and they never have the energy to follow up on those things. We don't need that. And there are another thing we need a president that will come and start making people accountable since the war ended. Going back to the interim governor, Judah Bryan, and then most especially the 12-year administration of Madam Salid, and then this George Weah administration, who will be the Walker will be able to audit the early administration that he was part of, when he himself needed to be even audited. We will not have a clean start with the Unity Party. Okay, I can tell you right now, if you had a Walker administration, you will see more than half of the people that were in the early government, because there are some people still around him. And these are the
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Benitoe. Mr. Jawinkin, we are go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to say something like he talked about only two candidates, but I think the main candidate I support, Tiawonse Gonglo, who's the man who will really enforce the law of Liberia. That will mark the beginning of good governance in Liberia, rule of law. Gonglo serving government will distance it, and he has been a poor man lawyer. I think the Reverend knows, I think Mr. Benitoe knows that very well. People right now, it may not seem popular among people, but he's working very hard, and we believe that he has better chance because he's not a corrupt person. That's why I wanted to point that out, that there are not only two in the race, but Mr. Gonglo is a serious contender for the presidency of Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. Jawinkin. We are not to stay too long on this subject. Let me go back to you, Mr. Benitoe.
Yeah.
What, Mr. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Loud.
Yeah. So, Mr. Jawinkin's point, do you think Tiawonse Gonglo stand a fair chance against President Weah, or do you think he stand a chance against the other opposition candidate to unseat President Weah?
Now, if you were to remove everybody else from the election, and it was only Tiawan Konglo versus President Weah, of course, Tiawan Konglo would beat him flat. Like I said, right now, any good candidate can beat George Weah. But the question there is, would you have more than one candidate? Okay, and honestly, Tiawan is somebody that I know personally. I respect him a lot, and everywhere I have been speaking in Liberia, I've been saying there's only two persons right now that is running for president that I know can bring real change. It's Mr. Cummings or Tiawan Konglo. Okay, Tiawan Konglo is for me is my number 2 candidate. Now, but the difference between the Cummings is Tiawan would be like the 4th major contender, but he had a distant 4th place. He doesn't have that support. That notion that he's from Nima, so Nima will vote for him. No, it's not necessarily true. Okay, Tiawan will not come close.
Mr. Benitoe, just to go back to your statement, do you really believe in what you said that Ellis Cummings, who got 7% last elections, and Tiawan Konglo can really beat George Weah in an election if elections were held today? Do you really believe in that statement?
Look, I am 100% convinced. Even me, if you just put George Weah in the race, I can beat him. Even you right now, if it was just you versus George Weah, that Bremco will vote for you. That Bremco don't want George Weah anymore. They have realized he has failed them. In fact, you people are cursing him every day. People who voted for him. So the question of George Weah is a one-term president. What we're saying here is who's going to replace, who's the best person to replace him. We don't want to just be where we were. We want to move forward. And for me, the best candidate right now to take Liberia forward with a major leap is Mr. Cummings.
And you're from the PLP, right?
Yeah, I'm still a member of the PLP.
What about your candidate? You don't think he's the best guy to replace President Weah?
No. Like I said to the Liberian people in my endorsement statement of Mr. Cummings, I don't believe my standard bearer will be a major contender. I said it already.
Why is that?
Because who is the best. Okay? Due to the developing complications surrounding personal developing complications. I mean, my politics, I will tell you, my politics is not about me, it's about Liberia and Liberia only. I will not want anyone who is facing 17 counts indictment to come anywhere near the presidency of Liberia except they can clear themselves of those things. For me, when it comes to Liberia, I don't play games. And this is why I chose, even if he's going to come now, as long as he has not gone through that trial, I will never tell any Liberian to vote for him. We want Liberia to go forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benitoe. If you guys don't have anything to add to what Mr. Benitoe said, I would like to move on to.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Benitoe said a couple of things that I thought was important to respond to. He tried to malign the CDC that sedition was double voting. We had different registration cards and all kinds of.
I saw them with my own eyes, 2017.
Yeah, Mr. Benitoe.
Can we talk about that in the electronic voting?
Yeah, no, but I'm going to respond to something.
Okay.
Here's my take on Mr. Benitoe. Mr. Benitoe is here making all this characterization, and at the same time, telling us that his recent endorsement of Mr. Cummings demonstrates a good judgment about how Liberians can have good leadership. But it beats one's imagination if we are not even going to the pool and Mr. Benitoe is flipping around, dancing, and unable to make good decisions. He was just supporting another man towards the same thing, and we have not cast the first ballot. At least the political process, what we call the political evolution, has taken care of the problem where he will be forced to make a different choice. Then that will be a good thing. But here, the political process did not compel him to make this choice. We did not even go to the various first ballot. And so when he talks about who he thinks can govern the country, it raises a lot of questions about his own judgment in terms of leading Liberia forward. He could be both leading Liberia again with his new weapon.
Mr. Benito, I will come back to you. I promise you. Let him complete.
Yeah. So that's a point I wanted to make before we move on to the photo, because just the fact that he's unable to make correct political judgment, even while we have not gone to the first round, raises a lot of questions about even the vision he had about sedition holding cards in the hand.
Thank you, Blodgett. Before I can go back to you, Mr. Benito, Bobby Mitchell Crawford, you raised your hand to ask something. Were you responding to Mr. Benito?
Yes, I wanted to ask him the question.
Go ahead, because I'll go back to him after.
It's funny that, equal and fair standard. You have a damning indictment of Cummings' experience, and he can't govern without even going to election. But when the same issue of competence is raised regarding George Weah, he says somebody not applying good judgment. You cannot have it both ways. But that's another story for another time.
I got a response for him. Don't worry.
I know you do. But
that's setting for you.
In your endorsement of Cummings, Bernadette, one of the things you said was Cummings is not only the best candidate or the best person to lead Liberia, but he's not looking to treat the presidency as his retirement home. His retirement plan. You care to elaborate on that? Like he wants.
Okay. Yeah, let me elaborate on that. Like I said, after I read the statement in the question and answer, I know I'm one person who know the sacrifice that Cummings made for Liberia, because I made similar sacrifice. Okay, I audited for 3 years for PricewaterhouseCoopers in Washington D.C. Okay, as an auditor, and I worked the job I resigned to come to Liberia was. The position I resigned was a financial analyst for Fannie Mae. I resigned that position to come to Liberia to help my country. And it's the exact same thing Mr. Cummings did. Mr. Cummings brought he brought forward his retirement from, he had not reached the retirement age, but because he wanted to come, it's similar to resignation, but he did it in a way so that he would still get like some of the benefits. But he stepped down from his position. This guy was the chief administrator of Coca-Cola, one of the biggest firms in the world. He left that to come to fight for his country. Okay, so it means he's not looking for a job. He left a job that was prestigious, that was paying more money. He left it because that shows that he's a nationalist, he's a patriot. Okay. And then like most of the poor for the right they do a living, and like I said, George Weah didn't resign from football to come help Liberia. He came after he retired, and he had nothing to do with his life. He wanted to run for CAF president. He said, "Move for here. Your head is empty. Who will make you president of the African Confederation?" He didn't even meet the requirement. Then he came to Liberia. He wanted to go run for LRTN president. He couldn't even read the requirement. He didn't meet the requirement. So he said, okay, I see. Since I can do that, I can transfer to do my life. Okay, I will run for president and popular. The young people will vote for me. That's how what Cummings decided to do.
No, he ran for senator.
To do his life. What? No, he ran for president first. He went for senator at the end. But he came straight when he went for president. Okay? He had retired from his trade. But what I'm saying, Mr. Cummings left his job, very prestigious job, high-paying job, and he came to work for Liberia. Okay? So it's not for retirement. Now let's tell Mr. Boycott. Mr. Boycott, with our government, he doesn't have a life. With our government, he doesn't have a life. The old man is old, and I have a lot of respect for him. Let him be there to be an advisor to future leaders. He doesn't have the energy. He doesn't have the help for complicated nation in Liberia. This is about Liberia. Just how people went just on George Weah to make him president, hoping that he won't know what to do and they will run the country. That's the same way people try to dress up the woman and push it up. Trump President Walker will be able to control people that Benitoe area when he become president? Because Benitoe will be a major player in his government. Benitoe right now is the second most powerful man in their coalition. He may not be on the ticket, but he will be a major decision maker because he has been pushing Walker. We don't want such a government. We want a president who will be everywhere, who will be on top of things. And right now, like I said, only two people I see can do that. Cummings or Tewo Gonglo.
You only saying that because Mr. Weir raised out a concern.
Yeah.
Mr. Benito, can you respond to Bloje? Can you hear me? Yeah, I want to move on to the. Go ahead.
Give me 3 seconds. Bloje,
Okay.
we have a judgment. Okay, shame on you to say that. If you could make the judgment that I can make, you wouldn't have made or given us George Weah as president. Okay? Let me tell you this. I joined a political party. Dr. Kassa is my childhood friend. I've been doing since 1979. We were kids in the same mission school. So he's like a brother. The decision I made, it was not personal, it was about Liberia. Okay? My friend and brother, I was in politics before he formed a party and he had a vision. Okay? I'm not God to know his heart or to know everything about him. Okay? Just like you follow George Weah, if you knew who George Weah was, you would not even sit here and be talking about him. I know George Weah more than you. George Weah is a personal friend of mine. But I knew you were not capable. That's why I never followed him. Okay? I decided to help Dr. Kassa join. But then I began to see things. That he's indicted. Will you want somebody that has an indictment in a foreign country hanging over them to come and be president of Liberia? Why that is that settled? And you call that misjudgment? Shame on you. That's the best judgment any patriot should make.
Thank you, Mr. Benito. So, guys, I would like for us to go back to our conversation on the electronic voting system or the biometric voting system. And, guys, continue to follow the network on Facebook and YouTube. We are talking about electronic voting and electronic and biometric voting systems in Liberia. As all of you know, some Liberian has been calling on for the next election to be done for an electronic or biometric voting system to be implemented. Some believe, those people that want the biometric system believe that will provide better accessibility for citizens, and also it will discourage the idea of election fraud. And there are other Liberians that have actually fought against that idea, believing that that system, there's nothing wrong with the current system, and that system will also is also a serious threat to our democracy. Let's get into the conversation about the electronic and biometric voting system. Let's start with you, Bobby Michelle Crawford. Give us your thought on it.
Yeah, I was really surprised in Mr. Davis' take on the electronic system. I think his analysis was spot on. This is something that I didn't know. I already knew there was some disadvantage in using the system, but I didn't know there was systematic fraud if you just resort to that exclusively. But I think one of the reasons why, and there are several reasons, and one of the reasons why they wanted to introduce that was for the transparency of the election. And in order for that to happen, now one of the things that Mr. Cummings, before CCP came about during the ANC time, he consistently, prodded the government to clean the voter roll, the voter registration roll, because that is why you're going to be infused into whatever new system you're going to bring to the National Election Commission. The National Election Commission are yet to do that. In fact, the commission itself has been married in corruption. And I'll reference you to this story real quickly. The Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission, they found I don't know if she says the chair lady, the Director Brand Lasana, guilty of money laundering and violating the Public Service Code of Conduct. What happened was the machine they rented, right? I think this is a story that is everywhere. It's not breaking news. They exercised the use part of the machine during that voting by election in Lofa County. They rented a machine for over $82,000 United States dollars, not Liberian dollar. when the actual cost of the machine was around $126 if you want to buy it. But guess what? They outsourced that to a company that is owned by her brother. You see? So even before they start the biometric system, the real government, hand-pointing election commission chairlady is already found guilty, engaging in financial impropriety. I don't know if she said the chairperson did it. You want to make that correction, but that's what I went on the website.
She's still the chair.
Bingo.
Yes, she still is. Yeah.
Card carry member of CDC.
There you go. I forget about card carry member. This is somebody, and the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission has been dissolved, right? Or they stay in action?
No, the election commission.
No, the Liberia Anti-Corruption. The last time I heard, they said they dissolved them.
No. The anti-corruption commission is still existing.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, but back to my story.
They wanted to dissolve it. We are
Mr. Benito, let Bobby continue.
Yeah, but I need a time, Mr. Bender. I got this. Sorry, I got this. But here's the thing, though. So if you have all of this, the corruption saga hanging around the election commission, they are failure to clean the voter roll. So if you're introducing that new system, there are over 2.5 million people in Liberia that are eligible voters. So what Mr. Cummings is saying, if you bring in this system, at least they'll do a sanity check on the voter roll, because that's what you're going to infuse into the system, so we can know who all is eligible to vote and who's going to participate in the election. They have yet to do that, and I think that is a problem in going into this whole biometrics thing. There are a lot of hiccups, and the fact that it's corruption hanging, over the head of the election commission. I think that is a problem that needs to be addressed first.
So Cummings don't want the biometric system?
Of course he does.
But he wants certain criteria to be met for his
No. It's not he who that want it. I'm the one alluding to that.
Okay, all right, I'll just making sure because I'm jotting down points. All right, but let's go to you, Mr. John Winkin. Give us your thoughts on the biometric or electronic voting system.
Okay, in the first place, it is a good idea, but already Liberian people are confused, especially those in the rural area, about voting. If you ask them to vote on machine, their children will vote for them on their behalf for people that they like. Because the current system we have in place, they can look at the face of the candidate to select. So if you bring the machine thing, in the first place, we will have a lot of problems. Already we have problems with electricity. I'm not sure whether in the rural part we will have that means of people using that electronic. Most people are not already educated. So the way people vote in Liberia is by looking at the face of the people. Most people don't even have asset. Most people cannot even use cell phone. How do you use that for people to vote, especially in the rural part of the country? So that will mean that Yamungan will go and carry the whole town and vote on behalf of the whole town because he is the only person that can operate on the computer. So that is the downside of that. But the good side is, yes, it will deter fraud. But I don't think the country is ready for that. We need more work. Then the other thing I have to say is that because of our situation, we do not have to wait for election time before we do registration. I think voter registration should go on all the time. And everything is just centered around that one election commission. I think it is wrong. In order to ensure more people to vote, we need to get more time for people to register the same way somebody is in the United States can register anytime to vote. I think that's my take on it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jawinkin. You made a lot of good points. I'll come back to you on that. Let's move on to you, not Bobby, but Lord J. Choppy Charlie. Give us your thought on the biometric or electronic voting system in Liberia.
Okay, yes, there's a lot there to cover, but quickly, let me just respond to some quick issues before just corrections. Mrs. Darietta Brown Lasana, the chairman of the National Elections Commission, was never a member of the CDC or a card-carrying member of the CDC. So that information extracted by Mr. Benitoe is false. And it goes to the very question I talked about earlier with his own judgment. The judgment It's not so much about the legal issues that his political leader faces, because to abandon one in time of crisis, especially an allegation when there is no verified proof, also demonstrate poor judgment and disbelief in the rule of law. Mr. Benitoe is now doing. Mr. Kasser is not the only president who has been charged. Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, who went on to become president as an opposition leader, he was similarly charged by International Criminal Court. But his people did not abandon him because they have faith in him, and he went on to win elections after that. So it still raises a lot of judgment on the decision making of our friend who wants us to vote for Mr. Cummings, a corporate bureaucrat. A corporate bureaucrat.
Mr. Benitoe, let him make his point.
Yeah, it goes out to his own political decision making process, where he's now telling us to vote for a corporate bureaucrat, Mr. Cummings, who has not demonstrated political of finesse in terms of navigating Liberia political terrain. And so let's get back to this question of the biometric voting. Jarikin Weir talks a lot about the educational aspect of voter registration. I do accept that the electronic voting has a potential to reduce even cost, and it will allow for continuous voter registration instead of waiting for only elections period. But the argument from the opposition, especially the corporate bureaucrat, Mr. Cummings, that this voter registration has the potential to stop fraud because there's a potential fraud by the CDC, has no validity and there's no evidence. We just saw Mr. Cummings as chairman of the CPP running an elections campaign against the CDC. With his very election chairman, Madam Deveda Brown, and it defeated the CDC in many elections. So where's the evidence to show that Mr. Deveda Brown is this fraudulent character or the elections commission is up to cheat? There's no evidence so far. They have won on this very election chairman against the ruling party. They celebrated this victory. But the real question of voter registration is about accountability. And when I say accountability, is it possible to now, given the space, and like Mr. Jarikin correctly said, we don't have the time for the voter education, and people are not informed. And if the voter education is only going to be restricted to voter registration, because we cannot allow an electronic voting process in Liberia, that would be devastating. Those machines are not credible. I can never advocate for electronic voting in Liberia. Liberia election, as it stands now, is one of the most credible electoral systems we have in the world. And that system is the best. Even in America, where they have machines, they still rely on manual voting operations whenever the machines break down. So the manual has proven to be the best device for elections process.
Thank you very much, Lord Charlie. Before I get to you, let's go back to Mr. Benitoe. I think Lord made some statement that was to you directly, so I'll give you the opportunity to respond to it. Before we can get into, you can respond to that first. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me say this. One of the reasons why Liberia is the way it is today is because of the mindset that my brother Blue Jay is posturing here tonight, where when you follow the person, you follow them. You would follow them blindly. You don't open your eyes. You don't question. You don't have any judgment. If anybody in a right mind would think that someone that has a foreign indictment has an accusation that has been brought and set up by a grand jury to go to trial, that prior to that trial, if they made that person president of Liberia, then I don't know what school that person went to. I don't know. I will question their patriotism and their love for the country. What the biggest problem Liberia has right now is corruption. It's corruption and broad stealing that's killing our people with no medicine in the hospitals, because people taking all our country money. They're burying them in the honor of caskets in the graveyard. They're putting them in foreign banks. They're starting them in the okay. Now, and you get into a sanction coming from U.S. government against
Mr. Benito, let's stay to the topic. On the voter on the go ahead.
You cannot take somebody who has a question, hang on the head, and say, let me find make you president. I will never do that. It doesn't matter, even if it was my mom, I would never do that. Okay, so I just wanted to say that to the budget. And I have peace with my judgment, and I have no problem with it. Now, I'm not a seditious. I'm no seditious. The judge like even pee in a cup, some of them will still drink it because it's just real. Yeah. So that's who they are. That budget there, they just follow somebody. They don't care whether they came in the hole. Now, but let me say this: coming to the voter roll, I think some of the panelists agree with me when I said we are not ready for electronic voting.
Blow J, agree with you.
Even in Monrovia, yes, sir, we were not ready. Okay, now we need a biometric voter registration. It's going to enable double voting. 2017, we saw people voting multiple times. Yeah, okay. The biometrics we almost eliminate that, so we need that. But I agree, we still need the paper voting for our people because electronic voting, as corrupt as Liberia is today, as corrupt as this government is, you introduce electronic voting, they're going to win. Because you know what? It's easy. Electronic voting is just like your watch. You can set your watch on your wrist for that watch to tell you it's 2 o'clock when it's actually 7 a.m. Anything that's electronic can be calibrated to give you what you want. So and we're not ready for that with the kind of corrupt society we have.
So, Mr. Benito, just to clarify, you don't think Liberia is ready for the electronic and biometric voting system?
No, biometric, yes, we need it, but not electronic voting system.
Okay, got your point. Let's go to you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. I know you have something to say, but I would like for you to respond to Blow J's session about accountability, and to also Mr. Weir points he made about the current system. Most people don't have electricity, they don't have the education, or they don't have access to what they would need for the biometric system and the electronic system. So respond to that and give us your comments you had before.
I think Blow J is the architect of embellishment, and I said this with with all the courage that I can muster. At no point in time that Mr. Cummings ever said that the introduction of whatever election mechanism in Liberia is a panacea to Liberia election woes. This is a statement that I made. The only thing I attributed to Mr. Cummings was the cleaning of the voter rolls, which is essential if we are to introduce any voting mechanism. Because you cannot have, whether it's a biometric system, whether it's electronic voting, you got to pivot to the election, the people that voted in the previous election. You take a DNA sample of who voted. And to Mr. Jawinkin's point, voter registration is a continual exercise. Even here in the great United States, this is a process that never completed. You always say people register to vote. We're going out there to register people to vote. But as it stands right now, we have over 2.4 million registered voters in Liberia that are eligible. And that number may go up. But here's the thing I would say, I think I just, what was the question again?
To Mr. Weir's point about the current system in Liberia, lack of electricity, lack of education. I think
the biometric system is the exclusive, it's in the exclusive domain of the National Election Commission. It's face recognition. If I stand to be corrected, whatever thing they're going to employ, I think I concur with the panelists to say the electronic system is a little flawed and maybe a little bit of a challenge. But I think the biometric is something that the election commission can control. So even in places where we don't have the availability of electricity, that's something that the election commission can compensate for. And I think it's a good process. And I agree with the panel that we cannot do the electronic system that easily can be manipulated. So I agree on that. But sorry, go ahead.
Okay, to Blowj's point, what is wrong with the current system? The system that Blowj referred to as the most credible electoral system in the world. Why can't we just use
Brother
that for
Dylan,
2023?
just clear crystallize some of the problem that is associated with that. You got people with 2 or 3 voter registration cards, and this is a known fact. Guineans are being trucked in from neighboring Guinea. This is something that is part of the Liberia election process. People that truck in from different districts to vote with different registration cards. And it's even happening now. I have a cousin who is one of the few workers for we'll come back to the census. I'm not going into the census story. They're trying to take the census. They got one person got 3, 4 names. See, that's gonna skew the census, the essence of the census. But imagine the election process.
So you don't agree with Blodge's statement that the system right now is the most credible electoral system?
That's
saying Africa or the world?
That's a tale of embellishment. How will it be credible? You know,
But if it's not credible, then Bobby, you took credit for Cummings being chairman when they in an election that was held by the.
When you talk about, when I say credible, it has a flaw in it, and the reason why the Cummings took, say the election was held and that happens because there were check and balances at the polling station. You have poll workers, but this time around,
check and balances for next election.
Can I come in?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, you know why they didn't want you to win that election?
Go ahead.
Because the margin was so wide, it was difficult to make an adjustment.
I feel like Mr. Benitoe, I feel like that takes away credit from the election commission.
Say that again.
I feel like your statement take away credit from the election commission.
But it was not only in Maserati that the opposition won. So many other counties.
Because after the elections, there were a lot of international media that actually gave credit to the elections commission for the elections that were held.
All right, but granted,
my brother, let me tell you, myself being an election monitor before, I monitor election.
Okay.
Election monitors, okay, they look at things from a high level. All right, they don't go everywhere. They go certain places, and then they look at the overall. If it's not overwhelming, then they say, okay, then they credit that election. I'm saying to counter what Bro just said, that Honor Cummings, CPB won election. They don't beat them because there was no way to turn that around. It was overwhelming. It was the rest of Liberia against CDC in that senatorial election.
Was Maserati only place that the opposition won?
So that's why. But if you have a close election, they can easily sway the numbers with the current system. But I think we need the biometric registration. We need that.
Mr. Benito, before I come to you, Mr. Jawinkin, we have to ask a question. I think he made Maserati County was not the only elections that the opposition community won. What do you say about those other elections?
Yeah, but all the elections, the by-election that the opposition community has won since 2017, they won overwhelmingly. The ones that were close, CDC won. Then the recent Lufa one, it was very close.
So you're saying the one CDC won the cheater?
No, I left with you to
okay, let's go to Mr. Jawinkin.
The elections since 2017, the elections that CDC had lost, they lost overwhelmingly. There was no way to twist the thing. All the elections that they won, they were very close. You saw the election district 15, where Abu won, Terra Ure, it was very close. The reason when you look back, it was very close. So like all the very close ones, CDC can win it. You know.
Wait, just Mr. Benito.
Margin. Yeah.
Mr. Let me get you. I'm trying to understand your point here. Are you saying that those elections were free and fair, or CDC never had a chance to tamper with the elections, and that's how they lost?
Yeah, what I'm saying, in any election anywhere in the world, okay, when there's a huge gap in the results, nobody can do anything about it. When the results are very close, I'll give you an example. Bush 43. No, Bush 41 against Al Gore. That election was very close. So the Supreme Court could decide which way we go.
Mr. Benitoe, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we are talking about the biometric and electronic voting system, and we are looking at the current system. And Blodgett made a statement. He says the most credible electoral system, and I was trying to make that point across to Bobby Michelle Crawford, saying that his guy was chairman when this opposition community won major elections using the same system. And you said that you made an assertion that the opposition community won it because it was overwhelmingly clear and they never had a chance to tamper with. I'm trying to get you to clarify that point.
No. I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying they won because I'm saying that you see the pattern. Almost all the elections the opposition community won since 2017, they won those elections overwhelmingly. The margins were very high. And if you look at most of the ones that CDC won, they were very close elections.
Okay, to make this very clear, Mr. Benitoe, the system that was used for those elections, do you think they were credible?
The system, now, if we say the system, there are processes within the system that need to be fixed.
Overall,
in general, okay, because let me tell you, every system is controlled by man. Like my brother was just talking about the voter roll, okay? We have an unclean voter roll. So until you have a clean voter roll, you will say the system is flawed. But the system is a good system. But the human element has made the system to be a flawed system. Okay, if not just clean up voter roll, this is one of the best systems you have. But we have the election commission that is almost partisan. Commission. So
Mr. Benitoe, I don't want to stay too long.
Mr. Moderator, before you go
let me go to Mr. Jawin. Okay, go ahead.
Before you go ahead, a quick comment on the voter cleaning roll. Just a quick comment on cleaning roll issue. I don't want to go through all that other stuff.
Since 2017, it's still the same.
Yeah, this cleaning roll argument again is a clearest example of a miseducation of how the electoral process works in Liberia. The thing here is that Jawin said earlier, in Liberia, for every election, there is a complete new voter registration that takes place. So if I register in 2017 and the election is coming for 2023, that registration I did does not count. So there's nothing to clean.
Yes.
Because we're starting over from scratch. All the people that will be registered today in this election, those are the people that need to be published, and these are the people that will be declared as registered voters. So there's nothing there to clean. The registration, when it starts, is assumed from zero. Nothing there. So what are you going to clean? So this whole argument of voter roll cleaning is just a myth and a distraction to malign the electoral commissions, because there's nothing there to clean. You have to start the process from scratch.
Thank you, Blodgett. Let's go to you, Mr. Jawin Kinwea.
I think the only problem with our system is it is slow to know the winner. That is a setback. That is the main reason why people need better system. The system itself is not a problem, but credibility, interfering from highest up, which is not only done in Liberia. So people wanting to better that system because the executive mansion, somehow people perceive to have some influence. This is not, it has nothing to do with President Weah. That has been the concept or the misconception. That's why Liberian people been thinking that because of the presidency they can interfere. So they want some independent of the election commission. They want to see some transparency where people will have confidence in the electoral process. The fact that the country is a small country and it takes a long time to know the result is a problem. to bring about electronic voting, that is why I say we are not ready yet. Because even if we were to have electricity everywhere, people who are not educated will not be able to go on a computer or to punch in somebody or some. In most cases, in a single town, maybe 1 or 2 persons will go and vote on behalf of all the people that are trying to vote, and they will have their own preference rather than the preference of the other person because they are not educated. So why it is true that we need that kind of system in Liberia? We need a time. People need to be trained. People need to be well educated about that. Yeah, to what Bridget just said, it is true that in Liberia, all the time, for every election, there is a new registration process. And because of that, that is why more people are not taking part, because they don't have time to vote. People go on the farm, go to school, and as a result, more people do not vote, or they don't even get food to eat to go and register to vote. So that is why those who are political leaders pay money to go places, to go register, to encourage people to vote. Because I was in Monrovia during the going election. I saw a lot of politicians who were candidates that pay money to make people to go and register. So to stop that process, to stop that kind of thing, we need a year-round registration process. That's the only way we can have trust in the system. Even here in the United States, they keep changing the system. The system will never be fair, but we have to all use our moral conduct. We need to trust ourselves. I think the problem is trust. We need a system that all Liberians, all participants in the electoral process will trust, all candidates. I think that is, until we figure that out, we'll still have problems.
Thank you very much, Winkin. We are, and guys, I know Blow J Chop each other and Tokyo a notch up, but by saying that the current system in Liberia is the most credible electoral system. But I think we can agree with Mr. Winkin. We have points that we are not ready for or anything different from what we have right now. Most Liberian voter knows to go vote and see the picture of the candidates. That's how they know how to vote. And we should take in mind that in a democratic system, every vote counts. So we are not ready for that system, according to Mr. Winkin. We are. But Major Crawford, let me get your take on that. To Mr. Winkin's point.
No, I'll go straight to Blow J, because he always talk about education. Sometimes yeah, go ahead.
I want you to respond to Mr. Winkin's point. Do you think do you agree with him that we're not ready yet?
Well, regarding the electronic voting, we all agree on the panel that we are, to a certain extent, we're not. But the biometrics, I would say that it is exclusive prerogative of the Election Commission. She all the controls that, because she introducing the face recognition that the machine are going to buy themselves. So whether they go in rural areas or villages that doesn't have electricity, the process can still be conducted. Excuse me for mispronouncing the word. Yeah, the process can still be carried out. So I don't think that is a problem.
Well,
but gentlemen,
respond to Bloody and then we'll close out on this.
Here's the thing, though. It is a basic elementary fact of civics. We live in the great United States. The reason why people like in third world countries are Liberia, right? They do voter registration cleanup. You have eligible voters. Right now, if you are an American citizen, it's already in the system that you're eligible to vote. Your voting requirement has already been authenticated by the system. All you need is an ID card or whatever requirement that is being carried out in your municipality that you find yourself in. It is the same thing with Liberia. In Liberia, we have currently, from the last national election, not the by-election, we have over 2.2 million eligible voters that are registered. Some of those people are deceased. Ebola and LRTN has carried them. Every year you have new voters added to that. So when we talk about cleaning the voter roll, we want to see who are deceased that it can be cleaned up from there. So we can have ballot stuffing. So they say every election you have new codes of people to vote. That is a fallacy. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. So you want to tell me every year the old people that were registered to vote, they are ineligible, and the new people will come and vote in the election? It just doesn't make sense. So if you have people that are registered, those are the people who want to check if they are authenticated to even participate in the first place. Do they have the correct criteria? Those are some of the things that we talk about cleaning the voter roll. It has nothing about purging and go moving on, forgetting about them and bringing new codes of people to participate in the election. It makes no sense. It's absolutely ludicrous, to be honest. And I don't think we'll sit on the panel and listen to stuff like that. It just doesn't make sense.
Thank you, thank you, Bobby.
2 minutes of my time to my brother David. You got something to say, David?
David, Mr. Benito, I will close with you on this topic. But let me get Bobby respond, and then I will come back to you, and then we'll close on this topic. Okay. Bobby, go ahead.
Who, me?
Not Bobby, but blow.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. No,
I
just wanted to correct, because it's important to correct the records. All those who voted in 2017, they are not qualified to vote in 2023 elections. So Bobby has to understand this thing. There is no death or disease. Everybody who's going to vote in 2023 election has to register for 2023 elections. That whole list in 2023 is canceled out. So Bobby, they are not adding on. In a break election, they don't add on. They're not keeping the old registration and adding new people there. They're starting from scratch. So only those who will register, the voter registration starts in December, and they have to go from region to region until March. Only those who will register beginning from December to March, that those people will take part in the election. So if you die in 2017, you will not be living to register in December, between December and March. So there will be no way for you to vote. So there is nothing there to claim.
So they will get a new voting card, right?
Everybody voting over. I got a voting card for 2017. If I want to participate in 2023 election, I'm forced to go and vote. If I don't register to vote, I will not be able to vote, even though I registered and voted in 2017. So that argument about voter roll cleaning and that false or alarm about somebody adding on a list or somebody deceased and will let them vote, it doesn't work. You must be physically present and register to vote in next year elections.
So
thank you. Go ahead.
So you are saying that they're going to give new voting cards to everybody
completely
again, right?
New, completely. That's how it's done. Every election is completely new. If 10 people register between December and March, that 10 people will vote. They're not going by 2017 list. It's not going to go by 8.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Benito.
To respond to him, but you want to?
No. I will take Mr. Benito, and then we'll close out on this topic. Go ahead.
I don't want to clarify, on the voter roll. Yes, what Bill just said, every presidential election year would do new voter registration. But the point that Bobby is stressing here, the point of contention for the 2017 election was the voter roll was flawed. Even ECOWAS experts came and they verified that, and the Supreme Court ruled that NEC needed to fix it, and they never, up to today, they have not done it, and they have used that same, distorted voter roll to conduct all the other elections in between, including up to the last election in Lofa. Okay, I think that's the point that Bobby keeps stressing. Now, the thing here is, if you're using that same system, okay, it's just like your computer, you say the computer got problem. So the information you put in there, the output was wrong. If you don't fix that computer and you go put new information in there, you probably will come up with a flaw result again. So NEC never fixed that. So the fact that they never fixed the voter roll, and then the guy who was at the center of the contention of the Bronskin lawsuit, he was just a director. And even his supervisor, the commissioner that you report to, went against him, in that case. But do you know that President Weah appointed that guy, rewarded him by making a commissioner who is now responsible for that voter roll. So now he's the last person that had the final say. So that's scary. The guy was down there and everything fell on him that he manipulated the whole system, and now you take him making the head the commissioner, and they have never fixed that system. So if we're going to do new voter registration into that system, there could be a problem. I think that's a concern that Bobby and others have been expressing.
Bingo. You couldn't have said any better, my brother.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benito. Guys, continue to engage the program in the comment sections and continue to follow the network on Facebook and YouTube. This is the Hard Zone with the Liberia Radio and Television Network. My name is Derek Yale. We'll take a very brief break, and when we come back, we will finish up on our next topic.
Hey there! Many Liberians are members of social clubs, 501c NGOs, and school alumni. Many Liberians are trying to open their own 501c NGOs, home care agencies, and social clubs. Does your organization have a professional website? Does your web platform have the right wording and content to attract grants? Hopefully you're not running your organization only through social media. There's a more professional route. You need an online space where you can craft a positive message about your organization, making your home health agency more credible, which will increase your chances to receive grants. We'll build you a responsive platform for 501c organizations, healthcare agencies, and other types of organizations. We'll provide you with full website maintenance, membership sign-in, private charts, Facebook and WhatsApp integration, live video feed for all your meetings and special occasions, a dashboard for members to see all the activities, and email and text auto reminders for meetings. We'll build with donors and 501cs in mind, and will help you solicit grants and automatic membership due collections. Building you this amazing platform will only be a membership fee of $19 a month. Call or email us now. Let's upgrade your website. Home health agencies and small businesses, you owe it to your company to project the best image possible, and we can make it happen. Visit www.tiamit.com or call 215-966-8679. Ask for Tommy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hard Zone. My name is Derek Yale, and this is the Liberia Radio and Television Network. Continue to follow the show on Facebook and YouTube, and also make sure you engage the program through the comment section. Leave us your take on the topics being discussed. Before we went for the break, we talked about the introduction of the biometric and electronic voting system in Liberia. And right now, we'd like to turn our focus to the census in Liberia. The New Dawn newspaper in Liberia reported that Legis has recruited 829 applicants for the census, and Front Page Africa also reported that the Legis census recruitment in chaos. And let me get my panelists back on the screen so we can talk about the census in Liberia and Legis chaos as well. Let me welcome you guys back to the episode. I know I did this in the beginning, but it's a new topic. The census in Liberia. What is your take on it, especially the chaos within the recruitment process, Mr. Ja Winkin? Let's start with you.
Okay, I think the census is very important, but as I said earlier, we are talking about election next year. I don't know whether we have the manpower, or I listened to I'm listening to particularly last time. The reason why they are conducting the census at this time is because of Liberia don't have the resources, and the people who are involved are from Ghana. And if they were to reschedule that, they would have pulled out. But I don't know, when I get a figure straight from you, you talk about, did you say 829?
29,829. Don't quote me, that is the New Dawn newspaper.
Okay. Okay, so I mean it is good for us to do census, but I hope that it will reach all the 134 administrative districts so that we will get the actual, I mean, the true picture of this of the citizen of or in Liberia. So in my opinion, I don't have much to say because I think it is good. Here in the United States, they do that every 10 years. So I don't know when last we had our own in Liberia. So it is better for us to know because all the things we see, like we always Google and see what is our true census in Liberia. So it will be very good that we do it ourselves.
Thank you very much. And we still have with us PLP former International Vice Chairman, and that is our special guest tonight. I usually like to have him take the first start at the conversation. Mr. Benitoe, give us your take on the census in Liberia.
Yeah. First of all, let me say that just as this government have flunked in every area, again they failed big time with the census. They really didn't want to do census, but they felt it would get in their way of making elections. They are doing it unwillingly because the international community have been putting pressure on them. This census should have been done 2 years ago, and the government, they've been finding all kinds of ways to not have it. And now they are telling us they're going to count everybody in Liberia in 2 weeks. For the first time in history of Liberia, we're doing census in 2 weeks. Only for in a 2 week period. When our population was 1.5 million, we were taking more than 2 weeks. Now we're saying 5 million the last time, and we're taking 2 weeks. And let me say this. People are expressing concern that the data that will be coming will not be accurate. One specific example is River. We're getting a report on River. The people that deploy there, none of them can speak Basa. They don't know the area. And River says that there are places where you got to walk, no car will reach there. And so what you guys going to do? They will sit right in your central city and just crunch up the numbers. And River is just an example. It will happen all over the country. So this census that will be coming are actually going to cook it. They're going to cook the books. They're only doing it to meet the international community's desire, but they really don't want to. They really didn't want to do it.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to you, Blue Jay Choppy Charlie. Talk to us about the census in Liberia.
I think what is census. The question we have with the census, or the problem we have with not having census, expose the incompetence of the last administration, the United Party government. Census was done in 2008. That's when the last census was done. So 10 years after, census should have been in March of 2018. But that government had no plan for census. There were no planning for census. A new government just came to power in 2018. They should have had the resources available. There was no money. There was nothing available for that census. There was no plan. They did not put in no machinery. And so this government came to power under a serious economic depression and had to prioritize urgent needs of citizenship. So the only reason why we cannot even allow the past government to come. And then let's look at the current opposition. What are the cries? Again, they are trying to make census with elections, or talking about elections fraud with census. The census has nothing to do with elections. Zero. I mean, take for America. America has over 200 million people.
It has a lot.
Mr. Benito, let Blue Jay finish.
America has 200 million people, but 200 million people plus doesn't vote in elections. Even if we register 10 million Liberians today, we still have to have voter registration. Only those who are registered to vote will be qualified to participate in elections. So by me being counted as a person living in Liberia does not qualify me to vote if I don't register to vote. So these are two issues. And again, they continue to expose the miseducation and the limitations and misunderstanding of those who are critiquing this government. Because these census, I think what people need to ask is, what is the purpose of conducting a census in a country? Census is mostly for development purposes, not electoral purpose. because we need to know how many people live in the country in order for us to plan for healthcare delivery system, school construction, who live where, all those kind of things. And one of the other things about for governance. So census, when the governance question, you talk about constituency distribution. So for example, if you say each constituency will have 10,000 persons, because of population growth, you may either increase the constituency or you increase the population within our constituency. So it's mostly for development purposes. It's not for elections. So people need to get these things here and start mixing it up and start crying these wolf cries every day.
Thank you very much, Blow J. Choppy Charlie. I'll come back to you on your statement that census is mostly for developmental purposes and not for electoral purpose. Let's go back to you. Let's go to you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Give us your thoughts on the census in Liberia.
Again, my brother Bloje is a victim of historical fallacy. He always talks about education. I think he needs to be educated. The reason why we have sanctions, this is something that is constitutionally mandated. It is enshrined in the 1996 Constitution. That every 10 years, Article 39, every 10 years, it is the Liberian government should conduct a census. And the last time they did it, to blow this point, is correct, it was in 2008, during Ellen's time. And it should have been conducted in 2018. So some of the excuses that our government gave when they came to power was Ebola, inflation, and all that. But guess what? Our developmental partners, the EEC, the European Union rather, and the United States government, in their budget forecast, they allocated $25 million to carry on the census. What happened to that money? And you understand? 2018, we understand Ebola and other constraints, right? Now it's 2019, 21, it's 22. 3 years. You know, in Liberia, for example, if you really want to do something good, especially with regards to the census, the best time to do it is during the dry season. Now they're doing it during the rainy season. And besides that, the budget they just passed. I know Bloja like to talk, how the CDC government has raised revenue, money is all what they have surplus. But guess what? The budget, the bureau that is responsible for the census, it is the National Housing and Population Census of Liberia, headed by Seditian Wilma Smith. But that besides the point. You know how much they gave them? $2.6 million to conduct a census. Can you imagine that? There's already logistical constraints. People are working in the field, they don't have cars to get to the remote villages. They are impeded by bad roads. So the government is not operating in good faith. I do get out the blow, but to a certain extent. The reason why we have census, yes, you're right, to be able to gauge the developmental needs of the different respective districts and counties, cities, and places, all of different municipalities in Liberia. I do agree. But it also serves as a barometer for election purposes. So if you're allocating representation, isn't that an election component to it? Isn't that a political component to it? To say it has nothing to do with election, then how are representation allocated to begin with in the first place? Because it's constituents that participate in the election to begin with. But I will pause there and yield the floor to my dear brother David. Take it away.
David Benito. Let's talk about respond to Lord J. Choppy Charlie points. He mentioned that the session was last conducted in 2008. Should have been conducted in 2018, but it wasn't. And he some of the reasons he provided was that the current administration have other urgent needs that they prioritize. So can you respond to Lord J on that point?
Yeah, they had. You talk about me, right?
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Benito.
Yeah, but you're right. They had urgent needs. They had to build their own houses. Some of them were renting rooms, living with their friends. They had to, better all their lives. So you're right. That those are the urgent needs they had. The pro agenda is just we are in friends. They are getting poor. And they're supposed to get rich. That's the pro agenda they were serving. But let me say this, okay? The past administration prepared the nation for the census and they turned it over to an irresponsible successor. that they just got it and just are grabbing money for themselves. So they squander everything. And just like Bobby said, our census in recent time has been funded by foreign money, not necessarily Liberian money. And the foreign partners provided the money, and Boris said correct $25 million. And today they can't even account for it. That's why the pressure was on them by the US government and other partners that the census got to be held, because the new money was not the issue. The money was provided. Okay? And Bush is a very interesting guy. He said one thing at one side of his mouth and then he said, oh, he had nothing to do with election. But then in the same vein, you talk about constituency and all the time. I mean, I was like, oh, this guy is a real solution. He's a real solution. How can you say you got nothing to do with election? Then you say, oh, but you got to have constituency. And anyway, but it has development, but it has to do with election. You got based on the census, you can eliminate some districts, right? Or that's seven districts across the nation. You can eliminate some or increase them. So yes, it has to do with election. This is why the international community have pressured them to make sure they have it before the election. And let me tell you one way it can impact election budget. If it went down, we will say, I'll use that again, for example. If your census say that only 500 people dead, okay, when actually only 200 people in a place, you could have extra 300, 4 billion votes coming from there. So that the census has a result on the election. You need to know the census is a barometer, so you will know how many people in each place. Then you will know whether the voter registration is credible. Okay, we don't want to have a Charles D.B. King election where the president wants more votes than people that are living in the country. So yes, the census budget for election.
Thank you, Mr. Benitoe. I would like to come to you, Mr. Ja Winken Weir, and then I'll come to you, Bloje, next. Mr. Weir, the census was delayed from 2008 to 2018. Now we have just under a year to the next elections. Do you think this current administrations can successfully conduct this census, and will you trust that it was accurate or credible? And also to Bloje's point that census is not for electoral purposes, how accurate is that statement?
Well, I think Crawford and the brother in Liberia, they were there already. There's even here, Bloje knows, even here in the United States, they go on census, they dissolve some constituency and Republican district gain some new constituency.
Redistricting.
So it got all to do with election. But having said that, I recall very well when the last senator we talked to the I think it was Bloje asking that question, and he said the reason why they are conducting this census at this time is because the Ghanaian government threatened to pull back their resources if the Liberian government is not willing to conduct a census in the rainy season. I think all of you can recall that. Nina Batika repeated that. So what I'm saying is that it appears that the Weir government, maybe they neglect or forget that it is required under our constitution that every 10 years there should be a census, so that we will know. Because right now, probably like Monrovia specifically, got more population. Maybe that will add to another district, the Christian another district if they were to conduct census by this time. So, not to say much, I think we all agree that census is good for the country. And Bloje will agree, or maybe you will reconsider it, previous statement that it had nothing to do with election. Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Weir. Logic,
Yeah.
Mr. Weir's statement, will you reconsider your statement that census is not for electoral purpose?
I think it's a miss.
Let me
Yeah.
complete this.
Mhm.
And if you can, while you're elaborating, you can also answer Bobby question. What happened to the 25 million?
Okay, that's what I was going to address first. There was no 25 million given. That's false. The money that is in question for census is $8 million. $8 million, and that's the amount that's in question to conduct census. That money is still in the book, and those who donated the money have said that if Liberia doesn't do the census, they will lose that $8 million. That's the money in question. So correct that error, and let's get to
$8
this.
million. Ellie left $6 million. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Let's get to the meat of this thing. George Weah took power in January of 2018. Census should have been done in March. So it means that before we have taken place, there should have been a machinery of census. In 2017, did we hear about census? It was election year. We never heard about census in Liberia. In 2016, did we hear about census in Liberia? Zero. In 2014, there was senatorial elections in Liberia, midterm elections. Did we hear about census? No. There was no plan by the previous government to have census. Nothing was on the books. So we came to power. There was urgent priority, and people say there was no priority. Number one, the break of rice price were increased. There are reports by USA. The Swedish government international panel that was conducted, they call it Liberia Anthropology Studies. Study that is 2017. You will see that the rice price was reduced by George Weah administration. We renegotiated the price from $16 to $13, and they provided subsidy to keep it at $13 rate. So there was other emergency that the government had to address. And then came 2019, we faced the international problem with COVID-19. Where in fact the government had to struggle to get assistance from international partners. So where was George Weah going to get his $1 million?
Oh, yeah, you 25 million too.
And during that period of the COVID, you could not even conduct census because people were not even moving across Liberia. That took almost 2 years. So this argument that we did not want to conduct census is not false. The reality does not bear that out. And let's come to the argument here. And I heard our brother in Liberia talking about Rewa says you can conduct a census and the population could be 300. Look, census, I repeat, has nothing to do with elections. Zero. They're going to conduct census. They're going to check how many babies were born. The baby who just born in the hospital today, that baby will vote. 5-year-old children will vote. 10-year-old children will vote, because that's what the census will be counting all these people. They are not going to vote. It has nothing to do with elections. When we talk about constituency readjustment, it has to do with development, because they want to know how many people live here and what their needs will be. It's not about whether they will vote. It's about their needs. So if we know 10 person living in this constituency, or populated, then we can take the people from this constituent and send it to another constituent and have less populated people, so that we'll be able to share the resources equally. So that we can share resources equally, because each constituent got to have same population of people. So it's for equal distribution of resources. In one constitution, you'll be having 5-year-old baby, 2-year-old baby, 10-year-old child, less than 18-year-old child, 35. So they're not going to vote. It's not for election purposes, for development and resource distribution. Now, let's come to the question of elections. If you say the census will tell election, you conduct a census in 2018, assuming the census was conducted in 2018, and now we're in 2023, we're going to vote. Are you telling me that the population in Rewa says in our district could not increase? There will not be more people who will become 18 years old? That's why we do voter registration, because that census that was conducted, assuming we have conducted census in 2018, that census will have zero impact on elections, because we have to conduct a voter registration to know in a particular district who all begin 18 years, who all qualify to register to vote. Because from 2018 up to now, every year, many people have become 18 years old and qualify. So that population census we conducted will not have any effect on the elections, on the registration of voter. So there are two different things we're talking about here: census, elections, registration of vote. Are two different things.
They are related.
Thank you, Blue J, Choppy, Charlie, and Brother Michelle Crawford and David. Would you guys like to rebuttal to Blue J before I ask my final question to close this out?
Civic 101. Okay, brother David, I use my time to you. That's fine.
Yeah, you know what? We shouldn't waste time. We're not going to convince Roger of this. I don't know what part of the world it is. The census has zero effect on elections. Maybe it's the CDC mindset. Okay, let me just tell you something, right? If you are going to say something, even in 2023, you will know how many people would have turned 18 but between that time from looking at census. The census data can always be used for different things, including development and election. You will know how many people, okay? You can come in a place and you say, you have X number of people, and you can look at the census result. If you are increasing people over there, will look at how many people were close to 18 by that time that have crossed over. You will be able to know that from the census data. You won't just throw any registration data out there. That's why the international community pressure you people to have the census before the election. Why did they have it for 2 weeks? They could have waited.
And brother Derek, real quickly, I live in Dallas. I live in Dallas here. This coming election, a new district was just curved, District 2, that never existed during the going election. You know why it was curved? It was based on the last census. The people in that area, that's the Sota area, those are familiar with Dallas, Texas. So we'll have a new representative that will be coming from there as a consequence of the census that was conducted. So I'm a little, it is disingenuous, for a layman that blooded to sit there. We have a representative democracy where seats are allocated based on the population of the area. Districts are curved. Gerrymandering, the call here in the United States, is based on the segment of the population that is concentrated in a particular area where districts are curved and representation are given. And to say there's no political connection, it has nothing to do with election, I think it's a fallacy, but I'm not going to waste my time on that. We'll move on to the next topic. The audience will be the judge for this.
Thank you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. And to you, Blue J. Choppy Charlie, the Elections Commissions on their website for the statistics on elections. Those information are gathered using the census data.
Bingo.
So, but to close out on this segment of the Horizon, thank you guys and continue to participate in the comment section. Continue to follow the Liberia Radio and Television Network. That's it for our conversation on the census in Liberia. We'll take a very brief break. When we come back, we will go into our icebreaker segment.
Hi, my name is Theophilus Julipa Nelson I. I am the founder and CEO of Lift Africa LLC. Lift Africa started as an employment agency that sought the employment of immigrants coming to the U.S. and finding ways and means to go to start life in this great country. Now we have added airport pickups and drop, car rental, or rental. As you see, we have a new business location. Started with just a little office part, but today we have a whole complex that we can do a lot of stuff with.
Hello everyone, my name is Geneva Kreitz. I'm the Executive Administrator of Uplift Africa. We have an excellent employment rate at our company. We work with and for you regardless of your situation. If you've ever been in prison, maybe your background isn't great, do not worry. We have a place for you here. We believe in equal opportunity for everyone, especially you. So sign up today and begin earning.
My name is Emmanuel B. Horton, Operational Director for Live Africa. Live Africa is the place to be.
At Fatu's, we know what it's like to feel a little homesick. That's why we work hard to bring you the very best and freshest imported foods and supplies from home. With quality design African cloths, beauty supplies, and tasty African food items, you'll feel right at home. So what are you waiting for? Stop by Fatu's African International Market for all of your household and family needs. See you soon.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Liberia Radio and Television Network with Derek Galley bringing you another episode of the Hard Zone. It has been a very conversational night on the Hard Zone. Here we've been talking about, first we did talk about the Alexander Cummings and the ANC Convention, and also Cummings' chances of unseating President Weah. And then we went to talk about the biometric and electronic voting system, and then we talk about census after that. And next we will go into our fans' favorite segment of the Hard Zone, the icebreaker round. Before we get to do that, continue to follow the show on the Liberia Radio and Television page on Facebook and YouTube, and continue to engage the program in the comment section. I would like to welcome the panelists back on the screen. Guys, the question we have for our icebreaker round, this is very interesting. If you could have a chat or interview with one Liberian figure, dead or alive, who would it be? If you could have a chat or an interview with one Liberian figure, dead or alive, who would you want to have that conversation with?
Wow.
Mr. Jawinkin Weah, far left. You know what? Let me start with, because he's not on the screen, I always keep forgetting the guest.
Oh, I would say President Tubman.
Why? 30 seconds. Why?
The reason why I would say President Tubman, the first question I will ask him, why did he decide to stay in power forever? I mean, when I say forever, until he died. You know, because prior to Tubman, people would serve their constitutional required term and they would leave, and then he changed everything. And he set that bad precedence for the rest of Africa, because during the Tubman presidency, that's when most of the African countries got their independence, and many of these new leaders they saw him as their role model, and they all just started to do exactly what he did. You know, so he will be the one man I want to talk to.
Thank you. Let's move on to you, Blue J Choppy Charlie. If you could have a chat or an interview with one Liberian figure, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Well, since we're talking about figure, I like to go to solutions. I want to talk to President Tubman.
Come on, dog.
I think he's supposed to be the best president in the history of Liberia. Very developmental. He was far-sighted, visionary. He wanted Liberia to be self-sufficient by 1980. If you read the newspapers, even in the Washington Post, New York Times, he was very serious. He said 1980 we must grow our own food and feed ourselves, and he had a plan all laid out. Today, Joseph Baba is claiming the LPMC development program, where President Tubman was raising about $50 million annually for Liberia. And in fact, President Tubman had a policy in plan that Liberia will import 30% less food. In Lofa County, who was producing the bread basket at the time, there should be no imported rice sold in Lofa County. So that's the kind of strong role. Probably I'd like to talk to him. What are some of the missteps that he could make better? But I think President Tubman.
He died on time bomb, man. It's my man.
Today I agree with you, blood. You can't get on my
I agree with him, yeah. Talk about dying time bomb.
That's my time.
That's good to you, but he said I agree with you, blood.
I know.
I must say I agree with you too. This one, yeah.
But let me my turn. The person I want to sorry.
Go ahead.
The person I really want to talk to, he just stole my thunder. That would be the same topic, but I'll specifically ask him, right? His visionary, you know, I don't know the IQ, for lack of a better term, to a vision, because he was not a proponent, or he was not a proponent. I don't know if that's the right word of that whole concept of Pan-Africanism. when he was vice president to Tubman, when they embraced that concept of the United States of Africa with Kwame Nkrumah and Sekou Toure, he was a quiet opposition. When he told his president, his president at that time, Tubman, he said the whole thing about the concept of uniting as African, I'm not buying it. I think it would be better to engage in economic bilateral cooperation so that artificial borders amongst us can be dissolved. He was instrumental in funding ECOWAS in 1975. And guess who saved Liberia from the carnage of war? That ECOWAS are metamorphosed into ECOMOG. He was a visionary. The greatest president that Liberia ever had, William R. Tubman Baweli from Benitoe. That's the man I want to talk to. His vision about Liberia, high total involvement. The Green Revolution, LPMC, CARI, all those different things. He created it from match to mattress. So I just want to pick his brain how he did it.
Thank you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. And for me, the public figure or the person that wait, I went to you already, right?
No.
You go to jail.
I honestly thought I started with him. But go ahead, Mr. Weir.
Actually, when it comes to that, I think three of us were thinking the same way about this one guy, Tubman. But however, they talk about him already, so I'm going to talk about Aberport. Aberport, I think he was the kind of guy when I was growing up who always threw up to power. He was a journalist, and he was down to earth human being, like Tubman, who wanted change for the people. That was Aberport. So I wanted to know, if I were to ask him, I wanted to know, because he was a man who really put people's interest first. He never followed the reasons, money, days, belongings. He was always for the truth. He spoke to power during his days. How did he do it? That was my question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja Winkin. And I'm sorry for almost forgetting you. So now I will, for my contribution to that, Mr. Anderson saying he knows what I'm about to talk about. But the person that I would like to talk to one-on-one, and I asked Mr. Anderson for the opportunity to ask this person this question, is President Weir. And it's for a very specific reason outside of politics. When I was growing up in the community I grew up in, just the name of Weir, it brought hope because of what he did. People look up to that name. I mean, though I didn't get to see him play, but I saw clips. He was a star. God took him from the slums of Nukuta among to the highest height of European football. Made him world best and everything. And he should have been that panel of hope for most Liberia. Not just as a president, but as a soccer star. Today, to see the condition of soccer in Liberia, to see the situation Lone Star, for example, is going through, when it was his very George Weah that would criticize President Taylor for Weah for Lone Star situation, to see Lone Star going through that very same situation, honor a soccer star bring a lot of disappointment to me. So I would like to speak to Weah and ask him what happened. And with his lack of education, lack of experience, Liberians still believe that he would channel that grievances from the slums of Nukuta to at least better their lives. Today, he cannot do the bare minimum to speak to them. The bare minimum, he cannot do it. Is a huge disappointment. It's a huge disappointment. So that is the person I would like to talk to, if I can, but more than likely that conversation is not going to go just how it went. But that's it for this round. And guys, continue to follow the network. Continue to leave us your participation. Leave us your contribution in the comment section. Who you would like to speak to if you had a chance to, and we will. And we will continue to, of course, post that on the show as well. But guys, it has been a very, I'm sure you will agree with me, it has been a very, very interesting night. We took a lot of different angles in our conversations tonight, talking about a lot of different things. And as Flo J always here, bringing points that you guys can phone at him, and it was some interesting point as well. So at this point, I would like to go back to our guest panelist, David Benitoe. Thank you for joining us tonight, and I would like to give you the opportunity to close out on this segment. Give us your closing remark, and then we can go from there to our panelist.
All right, thank you, my brother. Thanks to everyone on the panel tonight. It was nice talking with you, and I look forward to being, on the screen one day soon. That we'll have a better internet. But I will just close with this to say, Blue Jay, if your president George will hear you talk tonight, he will be very upset with you because you just made him a liar. Okay, George, we have told the Liberian people in the whole world that he's the best president since 1847. And for at least you disagree with him on one thing when you said that October was the best president, so you're turning him into a liar. So be careful when you come to Monrovia. Don't say that in front of anyone. Then you'll be in trouble.
Thank you very much. Is that your closing? Are you done?
Yeah. So
okay, thank you.
For having me tonight. Yeah.
All right. Let's go to you, Mr. Jawinkin Weah.
All right. Thank you for this opportunity. What I'd like to say to all of us Liberians, at home and abroad, election is very important. This coming elections, for those of you who are in Liberia, try and register to vote. Do not say it is people thing. Do not say when they get there, they don't have time for me. Your participation will make those in power to know that you have interest. The going election, less than 2 million people voted. So we expect, at least out of the 5 million population we know, more than half of that should vote in the next coming election. That's my message to all Liberians. So for those of us here in the United States, we should call our relatives back home to register. If you're not registered, you cannot vote. Registration is the first process, and keep your registration card, because without that card, you can't vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jawinkin Weah. And let me go to you, Lord Chobi Charlie. Give us your closing remark.
Well, it's always good to be here and having our man David here with us. But David, your luck failed. The choices was choose a dead or a living man. Just we are still living. I chose a dead man. So among the best people, Thor is the best. We are still living. He has not completed his presidency. We have not judged that yet. So he tried, but no luck. The corporate bureaucrat that you support, Mr. Cummings, chances of winning this election is so short like himself. Sorry for the physical description. I'm sorry for that, but just a metaphor. Thanks again for being here, everybody.
Let's go to you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. I'm sure you have a lot to say, and give us your closing remark.
I want to give Bobby something to say.
I know. I knew you will not let that slide.
You know, I won't let that go. Don't think I'm small sizes. Don't think I'm small sizes. Alexander the Great, you were 4 feet 9. Alexander the Great, word about it. Galilee was one of the shortest dudes.
Bobby. I don't want to cut you. Why you always let people do this to you? You say something, trying to get a response, and you always
said the short man. I'm just trying to correct him that good thing come in small package. Napoleon Bonaparte, you know, the great warrior. He was short. Albert Einstein, that we all reference, the father of physics. He was a short man. So I just want to make that correction. Good short people, good thing comes from them. They have changed the world. So height has nothing to do with intellect or leadership ability. But yes, I just wanted to, I'm just, we sit here, but there's a serious crisis brewing in Liberia every day, specifically the healthcare system. And I'll reference the Jacksonville Hospital in Tapita. Besides being dormant for a long time, that was the state of the art, if not the best hospital that was constructed in Liberia. Today, it is inoperable. You know why? Because most of the equipment are extracting the parts, taking it to Guinea. The only dialysis machine the entire Republic of Liberia had was at that place. Today's date is not functioning. There's a serious health crisis. You have government officials leaving the country to go to Ghana. But that's another story by itself. I'm only hoping all the glory about Liberia doing better, that the we administration in its dying days can see fit to at least invest in the health sector of the people, because the most important resource of a country is the citizen. You have to invest in their healthcare. You have to invest in their education. That's all I want to say to that.
Thank you very much, Bobby, Michelle Crawford, and to the rest of you panelists, Mr. Jar Wingen. We have Blue J Choppy Charlie. It was nice being here with all of you, and David Benito. Thank you for taking this ride with us. Episode 10 of the Hard Zone. We just concluded it. I would just like to say a big congratulations to all of you and our production team as well. Before I draw the curtain to this episode, I would like to make 2 announcements. Save the date, Philadelphia Association of Zambians Independence Celebration. The date is Saturday, October 22nd, time 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And the venue, this flyer will be posted on the LRTN page, so you will see the address there. Tickets now and at the door is like $50 adult and $5 children under 12 years old. And they have all of the information for payment as well. And the next announcement is Pennsylvania Old Timer Community Sports Association. They made a letter so small on the flyer. Parkside for short, having an end of summer celebration, weekend of sports. You have Parkside against Sardine FC, Red Bull FC against Trenton Old Timer, and the Veteran All-Star against the First State Old Timer. These games are scheduled to take place on Saturday, October 22nd at 8 a.m. I think the program will start at 8 a.m. So Parkside is inviting the audience everyone to that program. So that's it for our announcement for the night. And guys, this is the Liberia Radio and Television Network. My name is Derek Yale, and this is the Hard Zone. We will be back next week with another episode. Until then, do have yourself a pleasant good evening.